has been Heroes on the Xbox One. This is a rest stop video. I'm getting ready to sell this thing. I picked it up from GameStop a few weeks ago. I put 6.5 hours into this, as you can see. And this is going to be my excuse to do a really quick sort of explanation as to why I'm shelving this game. I might end up getting it later, like on Steam. This might be a decent game to get on Steam for like $2 or $3, I guess. This game isn't that expensive. I think it's been reduced to $10 for a new copy at GameStop. So if you're at least for the Xbox One version, so if you're curious at all about this game, it might be in your price point. Because if you consider the cost of a lot of, first of all, you can't rent a lot of Xbox One games like this, and this is not a AAA title in any way. Now, why am I shelving this game? Well, for starters, let's go to the hero section. I put 6.5 hours into this game, and I've done a bunch of videos on this already. I've even beat some bosses in those videos. But here's the problem. So far, this is all I've gotten so far. The 3 heroes I started out with. So despite the progress that I seem to have made in terms of defeating enemies and winning lots of battles and beating some bosses, I haven't actually gotten any, really substantial unlocks. In other words, at this point in the game, I haven't gotten anything that's really compelling me to keep going. I've seen a couple of other videos from people like Total Biscuit, from Tom Chick over at Quarter to 3, and these guys have unlocked additional characters at this point in the game. I haven't. And I think the big problem is that, okay, the game still feels kind of samey. So even though I've unlocked this area right here, the snow area is one of the first areas you get. But there's a lot of stuff I just haven't unlocked at all. Except for new areas, I haven't gotten anything that's substantially different in terms of enemy variety. And I guess that's probably worth mentioning a bit later. In fact, I'm going to do that here. On the bottom right-hand corner of the screen is the map screen. Like Faster Than Light, it uses a node-based travel. Like Super Mario Bros. 3, it uses a node-based travel system. You choose where you want to go to next. You have multiple paths you can take. The boss is over in the top right-hand corner of the screen. The quickest path might be this one. All those question marks you see could be camps, they could be shops, but as I'll mention later, there's not a lot going on in this game in terms of non-combat choices you have to make. 95% of the stuff you're going to be doing in this game is combat related. And while the combat system is good, I'll spend some time talking about that later, there's a lot of stuff like this. Going to empty nodes on the map if you're like me, because you don't get experience in this game by defeating enemies. You get coins. And coins are fine, but what do you get with coins? Well, you can buy keys. I don't have a key, so I can't open this chest. You can't backtrack. There's a battle down there. I'm going to avoid that for now. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to get into at least one fight before I get to the boss, let's be honest. But thankfully, not every area has a lot of combat in it. An area like this, you can take a path that allows you to get to the boss with only one enemy mob between you and the boss. So that's okay. If you're doing what I'm doing now, I'm avoiding most combat just to get to the boss. And that might be okay. But the game, there are short games of this here, but most of the games I've played are more than an hour long. And it's because the battles are maybe 15 to 20 minutes, and the boss battles might be longer than that, or like twice as long as that sometimes. So most of my time is spent basically in fights, and those individual fights last more than a dozen minutes. There aren't really any quick ways to win those fights to my knowledge. Okay, visit every merchant, and we have yet to visit every merchant for gear and upgrades, huh? Well, it's probably just a story-based thing. We tend to sell everything we find after successful quests. You can throw quite a... Yeah, whatever. Okay, that's story-based crap. Is there anything here worth buying? Nope. Apparently not. No, wait, something up there. I got a Snail of Wisdom. 50 max health. Okay, that's a buff, so that's not bad. 10% faster spell recharge. That's not significant, really. Because check the bottom of the screen right here. This Double Strike is a cooldown of 25. Cursor, by the way, I think its base level is 30 seconds. So the cooldown might have been 35. Might have been 30 earlier, now it's 25. Whatever. This Curse of Frost cooldown has a 15-second cooldown. I think it used to be 20 initially. And this hot potato is 30. I think that's normal. Well, let's grab that and see what happens. Okay. Let me see what our options here. 25, 15, 30. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you there. And I haven't quite figured out what that, see that blue symbol right there underneath the cooldown? It's that little white blue circle right there. I think that means it's leveling up, I don't know. But the main problem is it doesn't seem to be all that necessary. Maybe it's going to be necessary if I want to get past certain enemies, but, you know, the spells are part of my strategy, but they're not a significant part of my strategy. I mean, they could be. But success in most of the battles I've fought hasn't been dependent on my ability to spam magic spells. It's based on my decision making when it comes to switching lanes and things like that. So let's get out of here. So all these are empty. So I could take the long way around. You have to take the long way around. Because both of those nodes next to me are empty. So I'll just go the long way around through this question mark and see where it takes us. See, that's just another empty node. So, I don't know what to tell you. By the way, below us on the map is a dead end, and as I mentioned before, dead ends are a problem because if you go back over these black lines, when you travel from node to node, you're leaving breadcrumbs. The problem is that those breadcrumbs are black areas, dark areas behind you. So anytime you go over a previously trodden path, it's dark. So the game limits your exploration in that sense. You have to choose which direction you're going, and if you try to backtrack or you try to revisit areas you've already been down, you're putting yourself in danger. Because that candle right there on the bottom right hand corner of the screen, if you go over any previously visited paths, you're going to lose the candle. And if you don't have any more candles left and you try to do that, you're going to die. So, instant death, instant fail state. Okay, so I can go to the locksmith, I can go to the battle. Let's go to the battle. Because except for that one chest you saw me pass earlier where I needed a key, I haven't needed any keys. And how did I already take a hit, by the way? Why? Oh, that's right. No, my rogue got an HP boost. So there you go. Okay, so never mind. So that's why I can't recharge my health, I don't think, to the next game. Actually, I don't think I can charge it to the next. I have to get some kind of healing item at some point. Okay, this combat system. Again, it's lane switching based, but it's going to take me 10 minutes to go through this entire battle. So let's just do this. You're the rogue, because he'll take the 3 green pips off the stamina of this enemy right here. Switch to the... Darn it. I'll switch to the tank. XB to knock it back. Then I'll switch with the monk up there because I want to whittle down that plant that's in front of everybody. The plant has no stamina, and that's great. What is that skeleton in the top row? I don't think I've ever seen it. Well, I'll see what that's about later. B. Up there. Y. Y. Let me put that guy up there just a second. You can swap lanes freely, which is great. Let's see. Y, B, Y. Whoops. Okay, let's do... Yeah, I gotta put the tank up there. Okay, so we'll let the monk on the bottom do the next bit. Okay, you see that dumb skeleton up there on the top lane? Never saw that guy before. Wonder what that's about. Let's clear him out the way, then. He has 3 energy pips up there, huh? A, X, X. Just a second. Takes me a while to figure out where I'm going to put people sometimes. X, B, there we go. So let the rogue do this next. This dude's running away. Okay, here he comes. He's got always this guy just here for health, like the golden axe dude. Weird. Well, let's see how much damage we can do to him. Actually, let me not do that. Switch with the Y. Okay, let's do the tank next. Done. Swap with the dude on top. And do this. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that, but that's okay. Got him. Who's next? Let's get the monk in the center lane so we can take out the skeleton with the 2 pips. 2 green pips. Okay. We'll just do that for now. I'll let the rogue get the next hit on the big plant up in the top lane. Again, this strategy is actually very useful, and I'm glad it's a part of the game. We'll switch later. Top lane. Okay, switch to the tank. And yeah, we'll let the monk on the bottom see what he can do. Okay. We'll wait. But again, there's going to be a lot of this. Whoop, already defeated. Gosh darn it. I guess I shouldn't have done that. I didn't know the plant was already defeated. Well, let me get the monk down in the bottom to make some room. Okay. Is he ready? Yeah, the monk is ready. Yep. Knocks the dude back. Switch with the rogue. Okay, switch with so the monk's up there. Let's get the rogue in the top lane so we can take out the dude with 3 pips. Get the tank in the middle so we can attack the Spartan in the middle. I called him a pharaoh earlier. He's a Spartan. The dumb Spartan helmet. Okay, we got the... We'll put the tank back in position a bit later. Maybe we can just knock him back. Yeah, well, no, I just knock him back. Let's try that, because we want to get rid of that plant in the bottom, too. Rogue on top. Okay, so... I think I've already made my point about the combat in my tour of the route. So I'm not going to spend another 10 minutes talking about the combat. So what I am going to do is try to explain all the other complaints I've had so far during this game. Like I said, there's 90% of what you're seeing here is what this game's all about. Again, I like all of this, but the main problem I have is there isn't a lot of variety in the enemy types and the locations different locations that you visit. You know, like the volcanic area or the desolate forest. It doesn't seem to matter. Maybe it determines the enemy mobs that you face, but really they're all kind of the same. In other words, some places will have wizards that heal other enemies. Some places will have plants like this that are just, punching bags and they don't have any stamina, so you just kind of attack them directly. There are enemies like you're seeing over here. There's some enemies are there enemies that disappear, or are those just the bosses? I forget. But basically so far I've come across maybe 6 different types of enemies, and they're all like skeletons. They have various amounts of stamina that you have to bust through before you can do direct damage to them. And of course there are the plants, and sometimes I think there are statues, but those are usually related to bosses. So the boss fights are really interesting little puzzle action strategy games, but most of the combat you're seeing here is your typical fight. Basically kind of keeping people away from you and sort of whittling them down. Okay, so I gotta do the guy on top, so I'll do that. So let's see how long I can't keep doing this. Okay, who's next? Can't switch yet. Okay, we'll get to that. Why? That knocks him back. Can I will down the guy on the bottom? Yeah, let's try that. That's fine. We'll send him back to where he was. So, really, my main problem with this game is that what you're seeing right here is 95% of the game. And the enemies you're going to see in this video and all my other videos are all you see early on. There are other kinds of heroes. I haven't come across any yet. There are a few upgrades that I get here on the bottom of the screen, like, can I even see these? I can't even see them. Yeah, I can't even see the upgrades right now. They're to the right of these spells. So I guess that's the problem I have at this point in the game. It's that what you're seeing now is most of what I'm doing for the entire game. You're going to see me do maybe one more fight before the boss in this area, but other than that, there isn't a lot of exploration to do in this game. So while I like the idea that there are meaningful decisions that you're making at any given point in the game, I just don't like the idea of constantly, spinning my wheels, doing this gameplay loop over and over and over again, and hoping that a more interesting enemy appears, or hoping that a new hero will appear at some point in the game. Because I thought there's supposed to be a luchador here at some point. It's supposed to be a bard, to replace my monk. But right now I'm just doing a bunch of this. And this is fine. But after 6 hours, I kind of wanted a bit more reward for all the bosses I've beaten and all the battles I've won. And I haven't gotten enough rewards for doing that yet. So the persistent system of upgrades I'm supposed to be getting for succeeding before dying, the game is just too stingy with the upgrades. The game isn't giving me enough to unlock here. See, what have I unlocked so far? You know, stuff like this. The game doesn't even tell you what I've unlocked. Okay, so I got that. But I have to buy this, right? Because I did it in my last video. So it's not here. Whoops. Game got unpaused. So it's not here because that spell was supposed to be right here. But it's not there anymore. So, whatever. Again, no more heroes. Like the Wii game, I think. Items. Okay, stuff like this. This is stuff I can buy in the shop, but I mean, you know, a lot of stuff hasn't been terribly useful. These are all the enemies I faced so far. This wizard's been kind of annoying because he can heal other enemies you face, which is kind of weird. What's this? Health points. I don't remember what that thing was. But these are all the enemies I faced so far. And I've defeated some new enemy types, so I guess that's okay. But my main problem with the game is, like I said, there's not a lot of variety here. So there's not a lot of meaningful exploration, and while there are meaningful decisions to be made in combat situations, the obvious problem is the game doesn't give you enough meaningful combat. The game doesn't give you enough meaningful exploration outside of combat, and it doesn't give you many meaningful decisions outside of combat. So this is actually the problem I have with Risk of Rain, which I need to do a video on eventually. It's a game that's very hard, and it requires a lot of, you know, strategy and adaptation to very dangerous situations. But the game is very, very, very stingy about rewarding you when you die. When you die, you don't get anything, really. You're just kind of banging your head against a wall and hoping you can finally learn a strategy that will allow you to survive long enough to defeat a boss. But so after 3 or 4 hours of that game, I couldn't make any progress in Risk of Rain, so I stopped playing it. Because it's hard, but it's not hard in a rewarding way. You know, for Faster Than Light wasn't as bad because the game eventually gave me some additional, you know, perks. It gave me some additional ships, which function as additional characters, I guess. It gave me additional options. It gave me additional ways to play the game. This game only gives you one way to play it, and there aren't a lot of variations on that way of playing. So it gets old pretty quickly. It gets old after a few hours. It was interesting to discover all of the combat options that were available to me as I played the game for a few hours, but yeah, it's the perfect example of a rental. After a couple of days, you're like, this game might get better, but it just takes too long for the game. The game just doesn't reward the time you invest into it as much as you would like. So this might be the Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls problem, where the game seems really interesting at first. The chick parabola gets to its peak very soon, but eventually you hit a valley, and you're hoping that the game gets more interesting later on down the line. And it may never get more interesting. So that's a problem. Let's take out the dude on the bottom, make some room. Take out the dude on top, make some room. I can't attack the dude up there, but I can swap. I can put the tank down there and have him stun that dude. Okay, just a second. There we go. Okay, so now the tank's down there, he can stun that dude. And the monk can whittle down the Spartan. So, this was fun for a while, but this might be a game that I get on the cheap. As soon as I get my hands, as soon as Steam starts selling them for a couple of bucks, maybe $2 or $3, it might be worth buying that. But this rest stop is designed to kind of make sense of why I stopped playing this game eventually. It was fun for a while, but it's starting to kind of grind too much for my taste. So I'm going to get rewarded at some point in the future. I just don't know when, and the waiting is the least interesting part of this game. All due respect to Tom Petty. So I tried. It's not a bad game. I'm putting it down as an okay game. You know, maybe 2.5 stars out of 4 on the old Roger Ebert scale. But if you're the kind of person who doesn't like rating systems, then just call this a must rent or a super cheap discount purchase. You know, the kind of game that would be worth buying if it's really cheap, like if it's no cheaper than a rental, if it's no more expensive than a rental. But beyond that, I can't really say much about the game in its defense. It's just too much of a grind. So I'll finish up this fight a little bit and then I'll end the video. But you saw me in my last video. I spent an hour and a half playing this game, and you know what? I enjoyed my time with it while I did. But I'll just wait for it to drop in price. I'll use the money to play something else. So that's fine. So let's finish up what we were doing. That's fine down there. Actually, I want to switch. Yeah, let's wait a while before we go too far. Like Jan Jackson used to say. Okay, we'll switch. Hey. Darn it. There we go. Okay, so let's get the tank set up. And we'll swap and let him get the next big hit and then put the monk in there. Hurry up, tank. There we go. Done. Put the monk on top. 2 pips on top. The monk will take care of those. Switch with... Yeah, the rogue can finish him off. The rogue will do more than enough damage to wipe him out. Done. Switch with the tank. We'll let the monk handle that skeleton on the bottom. Hear that plant. Okay, swap with... No, there. There we go. Don't put the rogue on top. Let the rogue get the next few hits on the plant, while the monk finishes off that skeleton with no health left. Oh, there we go. Done. Okay, anyone next? Yeah, we'll do the rogue next. Done. Dead. Switch, just in case. I think we're done. Yep, that's the end of them. And that's the end of this YTF, right? Well, it's not even a YTF. It's more of a... Well, we'll just call it a rest stop. But maybe it's a YTF. For a YTF, I'd spend more time talking about it. Another battle. Okay. So this might be the worst case scenario. I have 3 battles back to back to back. So I'll tell you what. Instead of doing that, let's backtrack. We'll use one of our candles. Because let's assume this is a fight I don't want to do. But I gotta get another candle, so that might be a problem. Well, I'm just going to end the video anyway. And I'm going to die, right? Nope. This is a new path. So what do I buy? Nothing. Yep, can't buy anything. Well, this is a big fat waste of time. If I backtrack, I'm going to die. So that's the end of this video. So what do I get for dying? Or at least killing myself if I didn't want to spend another 20 minutes fighting. Do I get 100? Not 3 souls short. Gosh darn it. That would have allowed me to unlock something else. But you see what I mean? You die, and you can hoard the souls you collect from the enemies you defeat in battle, but, you know, not as much of a reward as I would have liked. So, time to sell this game. Good luck finding this game. Apparently, this was a GameStop exclusive or something, because I haven't been able to get a lot of information about this game's retail price, or its resale price. But I got it at GameStop for $10. You can probably pick it up for about the same price on Amazon. But has been heroes. Whatever, dude.